ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. See, happy birthday to Mr. Bob. Happy birthday to Mr. Bob. What are you like? Let me think. Hang on, because I'm gonna profile here. Right? You got gray hair.
Yeah.
You look very intelligent. I'd say you're what, 49? No. Wait, white beard.
Now.
I'd put you at most 59 because I know you're older than I.
You're just a silly boy. No, it was a big birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
It was 75.
75. Man, I'll tell you, that's just, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I get to the point where I can be 75 and still driving and still running a business and still talking to people and, more importantly, still making a difference in this world in a great way.
Well, certainly hope so.
Yeah. Anyway,
and by the way, I just we've gotten a lot of well wishes because not only yesterday was the birthday, but it was also the day that we closed on the funds for Hornell to take 1480, 92.1, and 106.9 under our wing. On April 11th, the application was filed with the FCC to transfer the licenses to the WYSL entity. So that's all in the pipeline, and we had a lot of well wishes about that too.
Absolutely. I wasn't sure if I was able to, and I didn't want to overstep there, but that's exciting news. I'm glad you shared it. See, ladies and gentlemen, meet at WYSL on the go, WLEA, WCKR 6 network. See that the Next Step Show. Mira esta voz. See that little Puerto Rican kid from the city. I love it. I love saying that. I'm sorry. You guys are probably like, I'm a knucklehead, but
you are a knucklehead, but we love you for it.
When we have people like the leadership in Irondequoit, right? And we're not going to spend too much time on this, Bob, because it's just all I want to say on that is I'm glad that the DA is at the very least looking at it. There's just been way too much being said and being reported from people that work there and otherwise for this guy to just step down already. It's just, the thing is this, it's become so dysfunctional that it doesn't really matter whether or not he did it at this point.
Well, it's beyond question he did it.
It is.
I have to toss the word in here, allegation, for legal reasons, because we can't convict him of doing. We're not saying that he was convicted of a crime or anything, but we have this 32-page independent study that was done. Now there's been a referral to the 4th Judicial District by Sandra Dorley, the DA, to have him removed from office. And you know what this is all about. This is all about he wants a check.
Yeah, he does. Well, like I pointed out, even with those guys running for mayor and city council, the father and son, let's lay the groundwork of racism ahead of time.
Got to play the race card. Absolutely.
It's just crazy to me. And then,
here's the salient point I'd like to toss out there. I know it's Peter's show, but here's what I say. Democrats, way to go. Hey, what a great freaking candidate you picked. This is what happens when you elect Democrats. So all you folks in Irondequoit who voted for this nitwit, this is what you get. If you don't insist on, if everybody's a box checker, you're not electing the person based upon qualifications, merit, and character. This is what happens.
Very much so. And then you end up with hocus pocus as governor and other jokers at the local level. This whole thing with transgenderism, it's still, baffling to me. I've been looking at the numbers. America is saying, we really just don't want that anymore. Do you want to dress up nice and pretty if you're a dude or vice versa? Knock yourself out. Pero destroying lives, that's the kind of leadership that the left has continued to try to produce.
Democrats are all about, what we're going to do is we're going to oppose Trump. What we're all about is opposing the Trump administration and everything that he tries to do and punishing people.
Listen to Clooney. I'll tell you, I'm going to have to break that clip up here shortly because that guy, and These people have lost their minds. I swear Hollywood must have some kind of poison in their water that's just changing behavior for those jokers, because it's almost like most of them, well, except for Nick Searcy, which we got to have on here soon. Although, the first cut that we have, Bob, I wanted to play these yesterday because we were talking about the lawsuit that General Bondi had announced that they're suing Maine. And the thing is, this has gotten so out of control that these governors like Hocus Pocus and the one in Maine and Newsom Gruesome. But this is what courage looks like. This is what America is saying. Mira, enough. Can cut 6, por favor.
Thinking, like, please God, if this man is in the tournament, if we come face to face, I will forfeit this tournament and I will take a knee. But there might be a chance that he and I don't ever face. So, and in that case, I'll just continue the tournament as normal because there's not much I can do.
So this isn't some person that's, that went out there, set out to have their own political agenda or ideology. And hey, I don't agree with transgenderism or nothing. She's just like, listen, it was a surprise. I'm not going to fence some guy. Now, I don't know a lot about fencing, but I do know this. I do know that men have naturally, we're just born with it. And no matter how many puberty blockers you take, right, is going to make a difference. We're just built different. So I have to assume a jab from one of those swords that they're using has got to have a different impact.
Yeah, it's foil.
It's called a foil?
Uh-huh.
Man, is there anything you don't know?
Oh,
See, you're like an encyclopedia.
Yeah, there's a lot that I don't know.
Man. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me add to your knowledge, or you probably know this already. Cut 7, por favor.
So to the referee, I know that referee, and he knows me for many years. He came up to me and asked me what was going on, and I said, "I'm sorry, I cannot do this. I'm a woman, and this is a man, and this is a women's tournament, and men should not be in women's tournaments." And I refused to fence. And then he walked away. The referee walked away to bout committee and to seek guidance from other referees and tournament organizers. And at that moment, Redmond comes up to me. I don't think he heard what I had said. It's very loud in a fencing tournament. And he came up to me and asked if I was okay. And I said, I have a lot of love and respect for you as a person, and that's true. But you're a man and I'm a woman. This is a women's tournament, and I will not fence you. And he says, what was that?
What did Redmond say?
He said, well, okay, but you should know that a member from the board of directors is here and he supports me. And there's a USFA policy that claims that I'm a woman and I'm allowed to fence. And you're going to get black carded. You know that? And I said, I know.
And that example, she's going to get black carded. She's worked her entire life for this stuff. She trained, she gave up other opportunities. But because there's a board member who's most likely politically connected, I'd have to assume, right? Who has their own agenda, right? She's destroyed. I'm going to say this, como una mujer, as a woman. Her whole concept of being, of living in a society that has gone far and beyond to take down. Whatever happened to breaking glass ceilings, Bob? Wasn't that the whole thing that people like Hocus Pocus and them thrive on? But yet they're throwing away everything that women have done, right? Because there's dudes out there, right, that are saying, oh, I find it insulting.
Well, the transgender movement is, by its very nature, misogynistic.
Of course. So, but the lunacy doesn't end there. I'm going to kind of shift focus here a little bit, right, from this transgender to show yet again how deep and how crazy this government is here in New York State. And Mira, for you leftists, if you're offended by this, well, tough doo-doo for you. Because you are part of the problem. I mean, listen, we've got a mental health crisis that was created. I'm sorry, but it was exasperated at the very least by the policies, right, that you keep insisting to bring in here, right? I mean, remember the whole inclusion or the whole thing with Hocus Pocus saying, well, people just don't know that they need help. And as a result, we've got to have the ability legally to just bypass due process and incarcerate someone. Now, I got to ask a question, right? Because that fencer there, she didn't get disqualified for any other reason than poor sportsmanship. Now, imagine if she fought that, right? Because there are people getting angry now. Does that constitute, right, someone in need of incarceration without due process? I mean, we see what's happening at school boards. Can we play cut? What is that? Cut 7?
8. Eight's next.
We have standards in place so we can take people who really need help to ensure that they get the support they need at the hospital.
Right. So to support, but we also know recently, we talked about this on the show, right, that in places like New York City, right, that they have been kind of doing this already, has not just disproportionately impacted Black and brown America. They also have people going into people's homes, taking them out, unlike they said that it was just meant for emergency purposes, but yet no services, nothing provided. See, you don't believe me? Check this out. When we get back, I'm going to play a couple more quicks just to show you. See, so no te vaya, no cambie ese dial. We'll be right back right here on the hashtag Be the Voice, see, of Liberty.
It's the Voice of Liberty, WYSL, WLEA.
Maria, Maria, she remind me of a West Side Story.
Youth for Christ Rochester is focused on keeping kids safe and healthy. We provide a Christ-like culture in our skills and drills, Friday night or Saturday morning basketball. And we're so excited to start all 3 versions of our new God's Girls middle school programs. Consider connecting your business or ministry to one of these vital programs for city youth through a sponsorship. Reach me at myfcrochester.org or support us online with a one-time or monthly gift. Go to yfcrochester.org/donate.
Donald Trump and conservatives may have won, but you know the left will unceasingly try to undermine society and spread evil, targeting the innocent and God-fearing, especially our children. Help promote a truth-based society and try something different in 2025. The WYSL stations can grow your business, professional practice, or organization, so allocate your ad dollars here. Reach our huge audience, entertained, inspired, and informed by leading conservative thought. Affordable, effective. The WYSL stations, the voice of liberty. Call 585-346-3000 to advertise.
Tom Wall's team member Derek.
Tom Walls started in Albany, New York as a small town ice cream stand. And now we're still selling ice cream, but we also sell your favorite cheeseburger. From our grill to the toasted Apollo hard roll, our juicy cheeseburgers will bring a cheese.
We have the guest Dawn on the line.
Someone in the world makes the best cheeseburger. Me.
You're welcome. Come on back.
It's Tom Walls.
Share the good times. Tom Walls.
Peter Vasquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to the Next Step Show, see, where we are exposing what I call the bamboozlous crisis of modern times, ladies and gentlemen, see. And before break, we were showing that short clip, right? We talked about the whole, transgenderism and the destruction that the state and states like California and the progressive left is spent on destroying ladies, right? And in those that don't comply, well, I'm just saying, when you've got a governor saying they wanna incarcerate you without even the process, the whole due process initially, right? That concerns me. Just look at what's going on. But people like Ruth Lowenkron, right, Director of Disability Justice at New York Lawyers, right, for public interest, she's like, what's the point of having a law like that? Right? Because the only thing hospitals do is either hold you until they feel like letting you go with no service, right? Or they de-escalate and let the people go. Watch, check out what she says.
When all the hospital is able to do at best is de-escalate and then send people on their way to what? What are you solving? Let's be realistic.
Well, I'll tell you what she's solving. Just kind of like this whole ban on cell phones in school. I'm sorry, I get kids need to have less FaceTime on computers and stuff, but technology is the way of the future, first of all. Second of all, why is that all of a sudden coming after so many teachers have been exposed? It all comes together. But I'll tell you what, right? This next cut, this is interesting. You guys are gonna think I'm a wackadoodle here. Oh, you already said they think I'm a wackadoodle, right?
I don't think so.
Star Trek: The Next Generation, right? Season 5, episode 18 is called The Outcast, right? Where the crew of the Enterprise is confronted with a chilling example of how society cloaked coercion in the language of compassion, Bob. You know, I tell you, Star Trek truly predicted a lot of these things, right? What starts as a debate about identity quickly turns into a justification for forced treatment. And interestingly, this is a non-gender society. And this clip starts with a member of the society who's a woman who's saying, I just want to be a woman. May we?
What right do you have to change us? What makes you think you can dictate how people love each other? I congratulate you, Soren. Your decision to admit your perversion makes it much more likely that we can help you. After Soren's diatribe, you must think that we are a cruel, repressive people. Nothing could be further from the truth.
I'm just trying to find a solution that would satisfy everyone.
We are concerned about our citizens. We take our obligations to them seriously. Soren is sick, and sick people want to get well.
Did it occur to you that she might like to stay the way she is?
No, you don't understand. We have a very high success rate in treating deviants like this, and without exception, they become happier people after their treatment, and grateful that we care enough to cure them. You see, Commander, in this world, everyone wants to be normal.
I mean, Bob, don't you hear the parallels to what we hear these politicians and even pastors these days saying?
So sit still and take your COVID vaccine like a good boy.
Oh, man, oh, man. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, I've got a great guest again today to talk about this very issue and so much more, especially when it comes to, how we've somehow shift from a society championing freedom. Check it out, championing freedom for those that hadn't had freedom, like women, right? We're going to pick up right where we left off, right? With a voice that has been lighting fires of faith and freedom in the hearts of so many. Mira, she joined us back on March 19th, and today she's back to dive deeper into the powerful journey of trauma to triumph and what it really means to lead with bold, God-given purpose. So, amigos y amigas, mira, como digo, no cambie ese dial, because it is my honor to bring back the Honorable Don Damon, the BraveHeart Mentor. Bienvenida al Next Step Show, Don.
Thank you so much. Gracias, senor. Wonderful to be with you today again.
Absolutely. You know, the honor, I'm going to say, is definitely mine. I loved speaking with you last time. I loved everything you had to say. I love the faith-based, women-led genius zones that we created together to continue
absolutely.
to borrow that phrase. So, did you hear the clip, the Star Trek clip by chance?
I did, and if it wasn't so sad, it would be comical. I was laughing like, everybody's happier after we cure them. It's like, really? Are we really now saying that if we somehow don't desire to be something other than what we are, that we're the ones that are sick? It's a turned upside down world right now, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes it is. Yes it is. And Don, I'm really hoping that, you know, at least for the next few minutes, and we've got a lot to talk about in these next 3 segments, but maybe you could help us understand why this transgender stuff needs to be brought back under control. And what I mean by that, right? Because we do live in a society that is governed by a constitution that says, right, life, liberty, and justice for all. I believe that. It just when that life, liberty, and justice for all starts taking away from someone else's life, liberty, and justice for all, that's where I start having a problem, and I think that's where we are with this. But more importantly, I believe that transgenderism, especially let's see if I can get this right, transgender men, the men that want to be women, I believe that in itself is destroying women as we know it, and in turn, families and children in our future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. There's such an incredible, well, I believe there's a demonic influence that's been unleashed in these times, in these days. There's such confusion about identity today. And isn't that just like how the enemy wants to come against us and attack us? If he can steal our identity, he can take so many things, our purpose, he can take our vision, he can take our impact in the world. So I just think the confusion, and not only is it demonic, it's mental illness as well. But for so long, women have worked to have a voice. They have marched, they have prayed, they have believed, they have stood in justice to have a voice. And somehow this feels once again just another attack against it's for men as well. It's not just for women, but I want to be a woman, to your point in the clip. I enjoy and love being a woman. Why do I feel shamed now for embracing male and female and believing in the beauty of how God created us? Once again, we get shamed for standing in the truth.
Let me share this number with you, right? The CDC report found that almost 60% of teen girls report persistent sadness and hopelessness, up by 60% from a decade ago. See, where correlation is in causation, I don't think that we can deny that this whole culture shift that they're trying to shove down our throats is helping young ladies.
There's a narrative out there that is saying that actually there's something wrong with you if you don't have these urges to be something other than what you are, that you actually are the one that's broken. And so we're putting this message into the formative minds of young people, which also blows me away, that we'll allow young people to adolescents to make decisions, complete decisions about their body. And we won't let them smoke, we won't let them drink, we won't let them drive, but we'll let them lob off body parts without their parents' permission. That's crazy to me. But we're putting this narration in. We're force feeding it, as you said, into our young people and into our schools. We here in Rockford, Michigan, just had it's been about a year now, maybe less, but a whole case where the teacher was helping the child transition, calling this young girl by a male name, and the parents kept getting confused while they were pulling papers out of her backpack with a boy's name on it, and finally found out that she was in counseling, she was working with the teacher, all to help her transition. At the end of the day, she really didn't even want that. She wanted love, she wanted attention, and this was a great way for her to have a void filled. So I do believe that our culture is shoving it down the throats of our children and causing them to ask a question that they're not thinking they want to ask, but somehow I'm broken if I don't ask it.
Which goes back to the mindset that continues to be sowed by the political left. And look, when we look at people like Leah Thomas, I think is the transgender name.
Yeah.
Yep, the swimmer. When you look at her, when you looked at, according to the World Athletics, male puberty provides approximately 10 to 12% advantage in most sports. Another study in 2020 in the British Journal of Sports Medicine that confirmed a trans woman retained strength advantages over biological woman for 12 months. That, in addition to the fact that in 2023, this is before Trump, right? A Gallup poll showed 70% of Americans oppose biological males competing in women's sports. All that together, if you could tell me from your experience in working with women, taking them from where they are in their traumatic event to success, what kind of impact does this entire, it's creating a perception for people, like that first clip with the fencer where she said she got, she was concerned when she saw the name. When we get back from break, can you share with us what you're seeing and the impact on people with that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, en el teléfono yo tengo the Honorable Dawn Damon, a braveheartedwoman.com. We'll be right back right here on the Voice of Liberty. Con Peter Vasquez, the conservative Nuyorican, and the birthday boy is Señor Salvaje. We'll be right back.
The Voice of Liberty Network, WYSL 1040 AM, FM 92.1 and 95.5, and in the Southern Tier, WLEA 1480, 92.1 FM, 106.9 FM, and always online.
I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there for you. I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there for you. Ain't no down on your love. No ride home and you got too drunk. Whoa. I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there for you. Yeah. When your heart could use a break and it's too broken to be open, I'll be patient, I will wait.
God bless America.
WYSL.
AM 1040 Avon, Rochester. WLEA, WCKR FM, Parnell.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll see partly cloudy skies, still a bit chilly in the 30s to near 40 on Friday, turning much warmer with an increase in clouds with a slight shower threat in the afternoon. Temperatures should get up into the 60s to near 70, might stay near 60 on Friday night. Saturday near 70 with a shower or thunderstorm in the morning and turning cooler in the afternoon. I'm Rich Cadilia for the Voice of Liberty.
Canisteo Valley Update.
It's National 911 Dispatcher Week. In Steuben County, there's a total of 27 dispatchers. At any given time, about half a dozen of them are on duty. It's a very important job, a lot to it, such as a certain amount of medical knowledge.
If somebody's choking or if they go into cardiac arrest, they can give instructions on how to do CPR. They can do instructions on how to do the Heimlich maneuver, all types of medical emergencies that they handle. They can give advice on what to do in the field before help arrives.
Not only that, but it's a bit of a social worker's job as well, being a 911 dispatcher.
They do quite a bit of talking people down. Quite often they'll take calls from individuals who are suffering from mental health crisis.
They do a lot. Big thanks to dispatchers. Brian O'Neill for the Voice of Liberty.
Debunking advertising from the law office of Christopher Johnson. Get a load of some of those injury attorney TV ads. The insurance company only offered me $5,000. Big injury firm got me $4 million.
I agree.
Actors you see look like they just stepped out of a fashion magazine. The truth, it is tragic, but nobody looks like a soap opera star who's brought an injury case where the award is $4 million. Those unfortunates have injuries that are permanent and debilitating. They'll need every dollar just to have some semblance of a normal life and take care of their families, often for decades. A serious injury isn't a game show where pretty people get big prizes. If you've gotten hurt in a car or on someone's premises, forget the actor portrayals and take the first step towards getting your life and your future back. Straight talk from Christopher Johnson, attorney. Car, truck, motorcycle accidents, personal injury, and DWI defense. Call 585-415-3803. 585-415-3803.
An experienced professional with more than 20 years in dentistry, Dr. David Olivo welcomes new patients to his family practice at 2005 Lyle Avenue. At the office of Dr. Olivo, you'll discover a warm and comforting environment staffed by professionals who are committed to providing the best available dental care while assuring your complete comfort. Call 328-3382 for an appointment. Dr. David Olivo, offering quality dentistry with a gentle touch.
At the Ryan Agencies, we see costs rising, and we're ready to help. If it's been a while since an expert reviewed your insurance, give us a call. We'll find small tweaks that can result in big savings and better protection. The Ryan Agencies, your local insurance inflation fighters.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Open Door Mission is deeply grateful. Because of your generous hearts, you've opened many doors. For those in need to find shelter with respect and dignity. For families who are revitalized with hope and strength. For restored, healthy relationships for those on the road to lifelong recovery. for people empowered with new skills and opportunities. With your continued help, more doors will open. Please go to opendoormission.com.
Genesee Your Path. GCC makes career exploration affordable. Discover all that Genesee has to offer at our academic open house Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to noon. Tour our beautiful campus and state-of-the-art facilities, including College Village student housing. Our academic and student affairs departments will be there to answer all your questions. Register online today at genesee.edu/visit.
As a roofing contractor, the shingle
Last spot.
is important. As a certified GAF contractor, Callan only installs the GAF Timberline HDZ 50-year non-pro-rated roofing system with the industry's only unlimited wind warranty and a 25-year algae production. It's the most advanced GAF shingle, period. Call Callan Contracting at 585-813-2761 or visit their website, callancontracting.com. Mention WYSL and save 5% off roofing or gutters.
Peter Vasquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
Hey, mira, we are living in an age where truth is treated like treason, and those who speak it are labeled enemies. Mira, leaders once we entrusted with justice now wielded as a weapon. The vulnerable are exploited, institutions are hollowed out, and evil, well, it's not just tolerated, it's celebrated. And mira, in the book Micah, right? You know, that Bible book called Micah, just in case, open it up once in a while. Good book, right? Tells more than a story. God doesn't mince words. He delivers a chilling rebuke of corrupt rulers and false prophets, and those who pervert justice while wearing the robe of authority, right? Micah 3, verse 2 and 4 tells you this. You who hate good and love evil, who tear the skin from my people and the flesh from their bones. Then they will cry to the Lord, but he will not answer them. Mira, you think about that for a little while, especially those of you, right, like we talked about the other day that are Democrats or whatever you are, right? When you're trying to figure out, where does my political alignment, right, align with my, biblical beliefs? You've got to bring that into perspective. See, Don, thank you for staying with us. I truly appreciate you having you on as always. Hello?
Hello? Don, are you there? We might have to reestablish the old Conexione. Because I don't think she's hearing us.
No problemo. But before break, we had talked about, Leah Thomas, we talked about the fact that, the World Athletics people, right, the ones that kind of govern that whole thing, said that male puberty provides approximately 10 to 12% performance advantage. Right? 70%. This is, again, before Trump. These are numbers before Trump, so you can't blame him. 70% of Americans opposed biological men competing in women's sports.
Don is back.
The psychological effect that has on all females has got to be astronomical, especially young ladies.
To say nothing of the physical effect.
I mean, look, Leah Thomas ranked 462 in men's swimming, and she jumped to number 1 when she decided to run as a woman in the NCAA competition. Don, thank you for coming back.
Yeah, sorry about that. But you're having such a robust conversation.
Hey, Don, I hate to break the news to you, but you're breaking up. I don't know.
I'll call her back.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether she's using a Bluetooth or whatever, but we got some digital misbehavior going on. Go ahead, Peter.
Yep. Well, when she gets back, we'll talk about that, because I want to know, this is what I mean. I have 4 granddaughters. And Alyssa's going to be induced today, Bob. So sometime between today, I think they gave her a time of 3 o'clock.
Let's all say a prayer for whose mom? What's her name? Alyssa. Okay, so let's all say a prayer for Alyssa and hope that the birthing goes very well, smoothly, and without too much distress.
Absolutely. And
Done for the third time.
Throw a little prayer in there, right, to make sure that all this nonsense we're talking about, that my granddaughters and your granddaughters are shielded. Dawn, we have you back again.
I guess maybe, we have some warfare going on here today. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah, okay. Let's make sure all the liberals are accounted for.
I know, right? So I wanted to jump in because you guys are having such a robust conversation and you're talking about the psychological impact, and you're so exactly right. The impact isn't just on the scoreboard, is it? I mean, it's eroding the confidence and identity of women, the fairness. So many women are experiencing such discouragement now because the playing field, after finally getting even, once again feels uneven. And many of our female athletes, they have a fear of speaking out, right? Because I'm going to get backlash. I'm going to be labeled as being intolerant. I'm going to be labeled as being a homophobe or whatever it is. There's such disillusionment. And maybe some of them even, they've worked so hard for scholarships. Now they're losing motivation to compete and walking away. And I don't understand. It feels like common sense to know that this ought not be. But apparently it's not common sense.
No, apparently not. Now, you recently traveled to Africa, am I correct?
I did, yes. South Africa.
So tell me something. In your travels work, is this even an issue or a topic in places like Africa?
Oh, no, not at all. I heard none of this. At least the areas that we were exposed to and where we were, there was none of this type of conversation whatsoever. And maybe it just hasn't trickled to South Africa yet, but the women are embracing being women, and the whole transgender conversation and all of those things, it wasn't even on the horizon. It wasn't something that we personally experienced or dealt with at all, no.
I do remember at one point when Obama was doing his travelings and he went to Africa and he tried pushing, those agendas, and one of the presidents, I can't remember what country it was like, get out of here with that. Absolutely not. We stand where we stand, and it was with God, I think, or something along those lines. Can you tell us about that trip? I mean, why'd you go there? What did you see? Are women any different in Africa than the woman in the United States? Is that why they don't talk about these things?
Well, yeah, there's a big difference so far. Women in South Africa and in Africa, because I've been there as well, they're still finding their way in terms of feeling that there's equality. Women feeling, they don't feel celebrated. They don't feel like they have permission to be strong and to be bold leaders. We were there in South Africa to do a school. It was a intensive, a 5-day school, if you will, a course for women who want to be entrepreneurs, to start their own business so they can be sustainable, so they can provide for themselves and their children. Maybe many of them have been divorced, or husbands that decided they didn't want to stay and so have just left or be gone for weeks at a time or come back. Not all of them, but most of them actually. And so we were training them on what it meant to start their own business and what it meant to have a vision and to see yourself as successful, and to see that God is with you and he's on your side and he wants to elevate you, and to share with them how Jesus supported women, how he loved them, how he included them in his circle, how he even let a woman sit at his feet, which meant she was able to be a disciple, that she was counted among them, because only disciples could sit at the feet of Jesus and learn from the rabbi. So we really felt like we were just bringing a fresh message of life, a biblical message, letting also the men that would listen to us, letting them know in Christian marriage, it's not acceptable to beat your wives. Most women in South Africa, if they are married, take a beating as a regular diet, letting them know that this is how I show you that I love you, or that I possess you, or that you belong to me. So they are subservient. They are beat down physically and emotionally, psychologically, and even spiritually. They're not allowed to do a lot of leading. So bringing some fresh message there.
And I apologize. I said Africa twice. You were in South Africa, completely different. So I'm glad to point it out, and I apologize for that misstep. Now, when you said you were helping ladies in South Africa build businesses, the whole entrepreneurship, is that where you implement your concept of building a business with God?
We did both. We said, let God be your CEO, let God be your partner, if that's what you're referring to. We said many of those principles, that the success principles that are in the Word of God they're timeless, they work. And so we were sharing that with them. And it was exciting to see that some of them were, already starting their businesses, wrote a business plan while we were there, put their vision statement on paper. The element of excitement to see that they could do, this is something I can do. I really know that they felt empowered, yes.
Don, when we get back from break, I want your opinion on Me Too. We talked a little bit offline on that, see? We'll be right back right here on the Voice of Liberty, ladies and gentlemen. No cambie ese dial. See why? Because we have the honorable Don Damon. We'll be right back.
And the Honorable Peter Vasquez, your host for the most here on the Voice of Liberty. Next steps.
I'm Greece Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Joe Robach. If you're looking to market and grow your business, make new business connections, and give back to the community in a meaningful way, consider joining the Greece Regional Chamber. We are the largest suburban chamber in Monroe County, and we offer networking, education, marketing, insurance, and advocacy. You do not need to live or work in Greece to join. Our members come from throughout the region. In short, we are better together, and together we can move your business forward. Visit greecechamber.org or call 585-227-7272 to join today. You'll be glad you did.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Rushmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
Last spot.
Basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.
Next steps with Peter Vasquez on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to the Next Step Show, ladies and gentlemen. Sí, con Peter Vasquez. Rap your conservative New Yorker aquí on the WYSL, WLEA, and WCKR. I think you said networks, right? I like that.
Yeah, it's a network of 6 stations. Yep, same great programming. 3 in Rochester and 3 in the Southern Tier.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, that's us, right? And today we have a phenomenal guest, right, Don? Thank you again for staying with us. Thank you again for sharing your thoughts on such hot topics. I know that's not always easy to do.
Yes, no, it's not always easy to have a voice, especially when, today it's not popular to have an opinion or to speak up for righteousness. You mentioned it earlier, too, my brother, about many pastors feeling, a little bit sheepish. You didn't say it that way, but, getting confused about their stance and what's biblical. And it's an incredible time right now. We have to be alert. We have to be watching on the wall. We have to pray. We have to keep the scales off of our eyes. We have to see truth, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Me Too movement. We talked a little bit, offline, and you were telling me that you had listened to the show that Bob and I kind of talked about that a little bit, and you wanted to share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. You and Bob, you guys do such a great job. And I was listening on April 7th, and you happened to say, hey, what's National Day today? It's Girl Me Too Day. And I just wanted to bring a distinction between Girl Me Too Day and Me Too. Those are 2 different organizations. And at one point, Bob had said, isn't that something about believe all women? And I just wanted to touch on that because first of all, let's just, Girl Me Too was founded by, I believe her name was Simonia Montgomery, and her purpose is to empower younger women, to teach them what's healthy in relationships so that they don't experience sexual violence and allow themselves to be used. So she talks about support and empowering young women. And that National Girl Me Too Day was on April 7th. And then there's Me Too, and that's Tarana Burke, who she started it in 2006. But then somebody in 2017 did a hashtag Me Too, and that's when that really took off again. But the Me Too movement is, they did have a slogan that says "Believe Women," but it morphed into "Believe All Women." And it led people to believe that maybe the Me Too movement didn't believe in due process and justice. And that's not true. You know, they do. But what they do want is for us to not disregard the accounts of sexual violence against women and just to advocate for a greater belief. Because I can tell you, as a woman who was sexually abused, it's very scary to open up and speak because, and I experience this in my own life, sometimes the first response is one of disbelief. And you're already struggling with so much shame. You already feel embarrassed and maybe even think it's your fault. It's something that you did. In fact, that's what Tanya Burke, who started the Me Too movement, she said, I just thought the sexual abuse that I experienced by many people who molested me, it was my fault and that I was bad. And it wasn't until she grew up and kind of reinvented or reinterpreted, I should say, her childhood and said, wait a minute, no, that's wrong. So, sometimes these movements that start with good intent, they morph into other things. But I just wanted to push back a little bit and say it is important for women to feel championed, to do feel that if they do come forward with a story and it can be substantiated, that we do uphold principles of justice and fairness, but women come forward, tell your story. Absolutely. Don't stay stuck in silence.
Don, I make these agendas for me, and then I chuckle at the end of the show because sometimes I'm like, boy, either I didn't touch it at all or I deviated. I'm going to just swing back to this transgender stuff again, based on what you just said, because Los Angeles County reported that there was a 300% increase in sexual misconduct complaints in homeless shelters, correctional facilities that implemented gender self-ID policies. And I struggle with this. I mean, like all the time. I mean, everything you just talked about, it truly explains how this transgender problem is, like I said earlier, destroying our women's lives.
It's putting us at risk. And I have to say this for my own self as a survivor, and many survivors, they do, Peter, they have post-traumatic stress disorder. The trauma is not just a memory, it's biological. Trauma changes your brain. And I'll tell you, for me as a woman, when I go into a bathroom where a man just walked out, and there's a urinal in there, and it's triggering for me. I've literally refused to go into bathrooms. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want to be in there. I don't want to go into the gym and have a shared space to get unchanged for my workout. I won't go. And, if 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 women have been sexually abused, we can guesstimate that 50% of them might have post-traumatic. So you've got a huge percentage of women, and now an increasing percentage for men too, that are sexually traumatized. And this just absolutely triggers and re-traumatizes women in so many ways.
It's not just re-traumatizing. It's erasing. It's erasing women. I look around and I see the fights. I've been advocating for women for as long. I was the 3rd grader that was standing in the front of the room with the girl that I liked, right? Explaining to the whole class why she should be allowed to play football or kickball with us, because they had the kickball for girls and the kickball for boys. And I just think we've gone beyond that. Title IX, if we can we only got a few minutes left, if we can talk about there towards the end. I mean, the Women's Liberation Front known as Wolf, I believe, has filed multiple lawsuits warning that these changes, right, that they erase the hard-won civil rights protections of women and girls. I mean, pero todavía, under New York State, Maine, California, they're all still pushing angrily, making people like you and I, sound like we're the wrong ones. I mean, how do you, as a woman who's a brave-hearted warrior, how do you wrap your hands and fight against that?
And that's a good question, because I haven't taken my stand in the political arena yet in some ways, but for decades women fought for equality in sports. And Title IX, yes, for example, it opened the doors for us to participate. And those hard-won rights, they seem to be eroding or being erased. You're exactly true. And we feel betrayed by the system that once protected us and advocated for us. Now feels like it's not listening to our voice. Once again, it's the same problem, different issue. The voice of the woman, somehow once again begins to be stifled. And we thought the system promised fairness and inclusion for us, and now here again. I mean, there's no way a female can go up against a biological male. That seems common sense, like we said a moment ago.
So Don, we're down to the last 2.5 minutes. Let's go ahead and take that political stance for you together and share some next steps advice with our listeners on how they can deal with this issue, and especially women who need the courage to stand strong. And then, of course, your website and how to contact you so they can get some of that great info you have.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the opportunity. I guess in some ways I am doing that right now. I'm taking a stand by letting my voice be heard and letting my thoughts and my feelings be known. How do we take it to the next level, Peter? Do we write our congressmen? Do we make sure that we pay attention to the voting and the bills and the things that are happening right now against this whole area and this subject? And not only that, but let's make sure that we are empowered women of God, men of God, in prayer. The prayer of the righteous is powerful. And we right now have to take our stand in authority and come against the enemy who's encroaching on and stealing our Christ-likeness, if you will. But yes, so women, be brave, be bold. I will too. We'll do it together. We'll let our voice be heard. We can blog, we can podcast, we can write, we can speak, we can share. And I, for one, will not let fear or shame or intimidation work against me and my voice. I take my stand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Dawn Damon, the BraveHeart Mentor. Your website, ma'am?
You can find me at braveheartedwoman.com.
Thank you again so much. And I promise you'll be hearing from me in the future to bring you on yet again, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yep. Enjoy your rest of your day. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me read this to you. See, it says this. This is my words for you to kind of have you thinking. When truth becomes controversial and biology becomes negotiable, silence is surrender. Whether it's politics, policy, or purpose, the battle isn't just out there. It's in the soul of the nation. Mira, stand firm, speak boldly, and lead with conviction, or be led by chaos. Mira, be a leader, be a leader, be a leader. And no te olvide, don't let a second go by where you are not a voice for libertad. See? God bless these United States of America, and I'll speak with you tomorrow.
This program available as a podcast at WYSL1040.com.
No soy niño empedernido, no me juzgues, te lo pido. Reconoce que el amor llegó esta vez. Soy cara de niño, con alma de hombre. Quiero amar.